right, we have Sinead Halpin and Allison Springer here in the interview lounge on the couch with us. And first of all, neither of you have to ride this weekend, so you're kind of getting to enjoy yourselves a little bit. But you did make a riding appearance in the reining. Springer came in at the last minute to steal the show and beat you by just about a point, I think.
I know. It was really, I thought I had it in the bag. And then she just walks out there and starts spinning at 100 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, my cowboy and I are just looking at each other thinking, I don't know, she's got this. So I had to walk away. It was defeat.
How did they decide who got what horse? Because Allison, for those of you who didn't come to the celebrity reining last night, Allison kind of cheated a little. She got the horse that won the whole thing, too.
Dude, it was skill. It was all skill. No, I would like to say it was all skill, but it was not. I had the best horse. The best part about it, though, this was probably going to be one of the nicest horses I will probably ever ride in my life.
The reining horse.
And it was sure power. I mean, and the guy told me, he was so sweet. He was such a nice, kind cowboy. He said, don't ask him to go fast. I know you ride fast, you jump big jumps, but if you ask this horse to go fast, you will go faster than you've ever gone in your life. So I didn't. He said, don't do that. Don't let him go fast. So I didn't. But I really lucked out. I mean, the best part, too, I met, was it Peter Kyle? He was one of the guys. I think it was his wife. I met them over at the dressage, and the wife said, she's like, I'd love to be your pit crew for Saturday night. I'm like, pit crew? What sort of pit crew are we talking about? I'm like, pit crew in my sport is, buckets, scrapers, ice, sponges, right? And she's like, oh no, I'll be your glitter. So she did. Right before I went over to the ring, she came over to my beautiful stallion Blue. He was a stallion, and she sprayed him down, and she dripped like silvery glitter all over him. So still on my body. So that's the Reigning World pit crew. That was my edge.
Didn't have any glitter.
You did not. No, you did not.
Nobody
have
wanted
glitter.
to be your pit crew. Where was Meg?
And I did. I'm happy I wore the helmet. I'd wear my helmet anyways, but that horse spins so fast. He's one of the best spinners, and that really did nail it for me. And the judge came up to me after, because you really just have a few required moves to do, and I did those off the bat. And the horse did it so well. He's so well trained. And then I got to kill 2 minutes of music, right? So I started messing around. I, gradually made the horse lesser trained. And so I think I started losing points the more I tried, because it got a little worse as I went. So I would have been better off just doing that stuff in the beginning, and then just
waving
around. Yeah, leaving. Leaving.
Well, there's also, speaking of Pete, Pete's performance was very interesting. It was the last to go. He was the defending champion from last year in reining in the freestyle, and he did the Harlem Shake. So these ladies came on into the ring with a group of people, and if you missed it, I'm so sorry. You missed out on quite a dancing
I just saw that it's now live on the USEF network.
Okay, you can see it still.
Somebody just tweeted that.
He had some Harlem Shake celebrities. Even David O'Connor was in there, and that was a long song.
It was a great idea for about 25 seconds. And then I definitely tried to rein back out of the ring, and I still have my spurs on, and the Western spurs are like yay big, so I nearly did a backflip on the way out. And then it's like David saw me sneaking out of the ring, and your coach is always your coach, and when they go, you just run. I was like, I'm not going anywhere. It's like yelling at me to get back in and do the Harlem Shake.
All right, well, last summer was full of highs and lows for both of you ladies, but take us through, Sinead, just take us through that process a little bit, the selection process, and obviously hearts are broken, and you guys were disappointed.
Back when I was 8 and I decided I wanted to go to the Olympics. Fast forward a few.
Let's spare them some of the details, but just first being over there and being in that team environment, and you guys kind of you can keep it PG, but we're gonna ask some of those questions, and you can be honest, and then through that process, spending time together, and how it kind of netted out with pulling it all out at the big one at the end of the summer.
Yeah, there was a lot of wine drank. Last summer was honestly, it was an amazing experience, and I'm sure Allison agrees with me that, I mean, I feel so genuinely lucky to have had the experience to fly over with the amount. I mean, we were based with 10 of the best American riders, you know, in the country, and 10 of the best riders in the world. And so that experience is something that, you know, you can only dream about. And yeah, there were some lows to that. Obviously, not getting to go to the Olympics kind of sucked, but I mean, yeah, there's another 4 years. But I've never had a more learning experiences in a short period of time, and I think, you know, after the kind of the Olympics, we all kind of banded together and said, okay, well, we're either gonna, you know, be depressed about this forever, which gets just old, and or we're gonna step it up and go and kind of compete and do what we've learned how to do and enjoy the horses we have and the training and knowledge that we gained, and we had a great time. After that was pretty awesome, and team training was great. There was a lot of stuff to learn, and I think we'll go back, you know, next time, and then the next time just wiser, and Burley was awesome.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there for the audience. So these two girls are fantastic. Obviously, I think a lot of people from the United States were shocked when they didn't end up on that Olympic team in 2012. And so then they went to Burley, and boy, were those selectors and people questioning their tactics. After the Olympics happened, it didn't go the way the United States wanted. And these two girls kind of stood up and made it one hell of a statement when they finished 2nd and 6th at Burley. So,
but I would say we were, you know, as soon as the team got named, we were all obviously disappointed, but we're still, you know, we're so pro USA, and it was really hard for everyone that was part of USA. Those guys that were on the team, they wanted it bad, and they trained hard. It wasn't anything about those riders that went. I mean, the riders that went were fantastic, and they wanted that as bad as anyone else. So I think it was rough on everyone all the way around. As soon as that happened, I mean, we were so supporting Team USA. I had to come back to New Jersey and teach a clinic so I could stay in England for another month, and Allie went and supported and got out there, and so we were all, you know, really hoping that it went well. So going to Burley, our head was somewhere else. It wasn't. I don't think it was there to prove a point. It was just to do the best job we could do, and from the experiences of the summer, we were better. I mean, if Burley had been in June, I don't know if those same results would have happened. I mean, we were better because of the summer. So.
I mean, it's always daunting to think of Burley as Plan B. It's just, you know, obviously it's Plan B to the Olympics, but this is a huge course. You walk around this and it's enormous. You walk around Burley and it is, I mean, you need a pair of adult diapers to just walk around it, like, let alone think about competing there. It is absolutely massive. So for me, like, that was the biggest challenge was, you know, staying at the top of my game. Last year, Kentucky was so just wonderful and fun, and I'm not going to say it was easy, but it just felt, you know, my whole plan for the season was to come to Kentucky and do what I did, and everything led me up to that. Burley was certainly, you know, that wasn't the original plan for that season, you know, so that was it. You know, it's just such a great experience to put everything that we learned from the summer and keeping your focus and learning how to peak and just pulling out the results, and my summer there in England with the team really contributed to that. So.
And then just a little bit, this course here, you guys have both had tremendous success at Rolex, and Allison, yourself finishing 2nd here, Sinead finishing in the top 3.
The next year,
I know.
the Land Rover release is the top American rider the year before.
Yeah, Sinead missed the Land Rover, but Allison, are you still driving it?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I get it till October, so I don't have to give it up yet, which is lovely. So I'm hoping
maybe you can borrow it for a week or something.
Yeah, you can buy it some gas. You can take it to the gas station and buy it some gas. That sounds like a good deal.
So, but Sunday here, both of you obviously have come into this arena with a lot of pressure on you in the final day of show jumping, and walk this audience through kind of what these top riders here are going to be facing when they walk down that ramp. It's a big stadium and kind of all the pressure that goes with it on Sunday here as they'll get down to the top 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling. I mean, through the years of me being here in Arthur, I remember my first 2-3 years just being so nervous I could throw up, honestly. Like, that's the only way to describe it, you know, and I had to learn a lot about show jumping and how to show jump that horse. Last year I felt, and the year before, the last couple of years, and certainly a lot of thanks go out to Katie Prudant for helping me, and Jan Binney a lot with my show jumping, where it's a good feeling to come down and know the horse you're sitting on. The footing in this ring couldn't be a better gift to these animals after yesterday. We have such, we're so lucky to be able to jump on this, but it is, you know, it's a big deal for these first timers too, as well. First time coming down this ramp, and you hear the roar. The crowds here are so good, and it sounds so loud coming off the stadium. So when you're making your way down the ramp, you know, and you hear that noise, I know it's good for Tate to get excited, you know, have that for dressage. But the rest of it really sucks. It's not fun. But it's, you know, these guys. The horses looked great, I thought, jogging this morning. They looked great coming off the course yesterday. Some of the horses did a little light jump school this morning. Our biggest challenge is going from the big gallop, the big long jumps, to then coming back today and making them careful and jump up around the fences. So some of those had, you know, did a little bounce or something fun to get them thinking about their footwork again. And then, you know, it's a fine balance to what is just enough to make sure your horse is warmed up enough and jump really well and be focused for you, and what is too much warm up where you're, you know, they're already tired after yesterday, and that's a hard thing to learn, especially at these CCIs on this final day.
I mean, I guess I wasn't here last year. I was here the year before, and it was just kind of a surreal experience. I think Kentucky is a really interesting place because there can be so much going on and so much atmosphere and something in one section, and then back at the barns it's really quiet. And there are little places around the park where you can have really kind of a quiet time. And I think Sunday is always a little bit like you're nervous and you're excited, but you also don't want it to end, but you want it to end. And so show jumping morning, again, you kind of try and get yourself in a mindset, I know for me, of, you know, I've done my homework, hopefully, and I trust my horse, and I can only go in and do the best I can do, and sometimes rails fall down, you know, sometimes they just do, and it's and sometimes they stay up. So it's at that point on Sunday is not the time you're not going to learn anything new. Right, you're not gonna. Well, hopefully not. I mean, you know, at that point, you know, at a competition, I think that's a big thing that we've all talked about a lot this year is the difference between a training mindset when you're at home training and a competition mindset, and being able to just when you get to the competition believe in what you know and believe in what you already do. And I think that's the mental game on a Sunday afternoon is that I've primed my horse as best I can. You got to make an assessment of how fit and strong he is. So then you decide whether you're going to go jump some jumps in the morning or not, and then you have to believe that jumping less jumps in the warm-up is better. So you have to feel how many jumps do I have to jump, right? Because one more clear jump in the show jumping is one warm-up is one less in the arena. Whereas we'd like to jump 75 fences so that we're just sure, can I see a distance? Can I see a distance? Can I see a distance? Just to remind yourself.
How many, like, would you say around you guys would do on a
I try and get
morning?
it, honestly, I try and normally get it done in under 10 jumps for, and then go in, you know, hopefully you're around the 6 mark.
Wow. And then just with the changes, obviously there's a new coach. We had David O'Connor here on the couch the other day chatting with him about the team and what he's doing with the program. And you both, well, Sinead tied him, Allison beat him in the reining. So
yeah.
Sinead was trying to make right with the coach and not, you know, beat him too badly. Allison showed her true colors and stomped him at the end. No. But some of you guys have been in this program for a long time, and just some of the changes you've noticed right off the bat here in his first year, whether it be at the training sessions or some big differences you've seen in David O'Connor and what the U.S. is doing to move forward.
I think what I've enjoyed most about this year so far is it seems like much better communication right off the bat, and it's a much better collaborative effort between your personal vet, the team vet, the coach, your own coaches. So, and I've really appreciated that. Usually what happens for our team horses, a all our team vets are here, and obviously the coach. After Rolex, like last year, the Monday after, they did a very thorough vetting. It's almost not quite as thorough as a pre-purchase exam, but pretty darn close. And they do that after Kentucky, after your entire season. And that's how it's been for a number of years since I've been part of the high performance list. This year, for the first time, with our new head vet, Dr. Mark Revenaugh, who's a tremendous guy from out west. It was important to him to really know our horses going into the year, knowing what the goals were for individual horses, knowing what he was dealing with. How can we help each horse get to their big goal competition in the healthiest, happy ways possible? And I think both Sinead and I benefited from that, because we had some goals to do stuff early this spring with our horses, and the team said, you know what, like, your horse has proved a lot, and you get to take a bit. Let's make sure these horses are as happy, and if the goals WAG next year, let's do that. So that I think was a great thing, and I feel like David is an approachable guy, and he wants to know us, know our program, know our farriers, our vets, and I honestly haven't felt that way in the past. So I'm really appreciative of that. So
For you, Sinead?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. I think the communication has been great. Allison and I are lucky enough to have ridden in the O'Connor program for years, so we already had a relationship with David going in. But to be honest, he's been a course designer, Captain America, Captain Canada, Captain wearing 20 different hats, and now he's kind of let all of those things go, and he's focusing totally on Team USA and building Team USA from 16-year-olds. He's doing 18, the under 18s, and the several different lists, and the developing rider program is really intense, and it's creating a foundation of education that, I'm jealous of. I wanted to go to the developing rider training sessions because it was so great, but it's creating a sustainable system, which is David's main thing that he's so good at, is not just seeing a short-sighted vision, but seeing quite a large vision, which I think is going to change eventing for USA for a long time to come. So it makes us all feel a little bit more comfortable, instead of in years past where you kind of never felt like you felt like you were chasing something, and you maybe were standing a little bit by yourself, where they're really this year promoting a lot of teamwork, teamwork.
Well, in addition to your top horses in Arthur and Tate, you guys have some exciting up-and-coming horses, too. Tell us, they're both relatively new mounts to you. Copycat Chloe Allison, you haven't had her very long, and Sinead with On Cue. Just tell us a little bit about those horses and why you chose to pick kind of those horses to come up in your program.
Well, I had the benefit of knowing Copycat Chloe really well. She was owned and ridden by a girl named Kelly Pugh, who worked for me for about a year and a half. Kelly won the two-star Young Riders, North American Young Riders Championships a few years back, and moved up to the advanced level and did the three-star at Fair Hill a couple years ago while she was with me. So the mare's been historically a little bit more difficult in the dressage. Historically really good in the show jumping, so like balancing out my strengths and weaknesses over time, and I love the mare. I know what she's capable of in the dressage ring. I know her well enough that I knew kind of her soundness and her record and what it takes to keep her going. I've always loved her, and Kelly, we were just talking at the end of last year, actually at the convention, and I just put the question out there, would you guys ever consider selling her to me or not? Because she wasn't really on the market to eventers, and Kelly is a very dear friend of mine, and I love her. She was really supportive and excited because she wants to see how far that mare can go. So we're working it out. She has practiced being a little naughty in the dressage ring for a while, and we're making huge strides, and I'm really excited about the partnership. I think she's going to be another good horse for WAG and for the Olympics. She's certainly a horse you'd love to do 2 show jump rounds on. I think with Arthur it would have, that's what I was most nervous about probably with the Olympics, but doing 2 of them, I've improved it a lot, but it's something I still work at. But really excited about her. So just feel blessed to have this opportunity, and can't thank Kelly enough for allowing me to have this opportunity. So.
And Sinead, you have paired on cue in a syndicate, and we'll talk about syndication in a minute because I think that both of you have a really interesting take on all of that, and with more and more horses being syndicated. But on cue is part of a syndication that Manoir de Carnaval, your top horse, obviously it was in as well, and your decision kind of to pair them together in a syndication opportunity for people, and then tell us a little bit about On Cue.
Well, it was an interesting thing at the middle of the summer last year. It kind of came to my attention that we were most likely going to have to syndicate Tate. The current LLC that owned him wanted to kind of get us through that summer, and then said, hey, let's get some more people involved here, and which is very exciting actually, because we got to bring some more people on to own a horse that's already competing at the 4-star level. But it's in this sport, it's all about the journey. You got to be involved in the highs and the lows, and that's what actually brings a team together, a team of syndicate members, a team that's behind a rider and a horse. And so we decided that we wanted to find a young horse to pair up with Tate. And luckily we had a lot of time in England with one horse this summer. So I think Allison and I went to France and Ireland and I can't even remember, Wales, Scotland, everywhere looking at horses. I had plenty of time, and I ended up going up to Yorkshire and I was looking at another horse, and this girl had brought this mare as a partner as the other horse, and the original horse she brought for me to look at I didn't really like, and then I saw these ears flipping like this in the trailer in the lorry. I'm like, what's that? And she said, well, the girl that was riding her is about 26, and said, well, she's not really for sale, but we have to sell, they're breeders, and we have to sell kind of a horse a year. I said, well, can I have a look at her? And she brought her out, and this mare is just like, we call her Beyonce because she just struts her stuff. She moves and she jumps, and she's this huge personality. And Beyonce and Madame Butterfly, I heard, because her ears are just always moving. And Megan and I are kind of like grinning. And Josie, the girl who rode her, was fantastic. And it took me about a month to get it organized where I could basically get a loan to buy her. And we ended up purchasing her in England. And just to, shake the nerves off before Burley, I took her to an event. I went and jumped around a pre-novice on this horse I didn't know. I'm like, is this crazy, pre-novice being a training? And she was just phenomenal. So we flew her back over here, and unfortunately with mares, their quarantine is 21 days, which is a long time. So she lost quite a bit of fitness on the way over, so I did a couple competitions with her in the fall, and then paired the two horses together in a syndication. So, and I think we've pretty much locked those two horses down. I think the syndicate's pretty much sold, which is awesome. And it's been really fun because the members get to watch a young horse come up and do stuff, and also be involved at the top level with Tate. And then it was a couple of weeks ago, and I had another opportunity to possibly go and look at another horse for syndication, and the first person I called was Josie. I'm like, do you have anything related to Q? Because I'm in love. So I'm actually flying over in 2 weeks to look at a relative of Q, to hopefully, that's a 2-star horse that would hopefully be coming back over here this fall, and be able to syndicate her as well.
So we're seeing a lot of syndication these days, and I think it's an interesting thing. Boyd and a lot of the riders you see here, they all have syndicates of their horses. Some of the horses that you'll see later today, they're owned by maybe a sole owner, but there's a lot of opportunity in this sport now to get involved as an owner and not have the high costs that you think, oh my gosh, owner, scary word. But there's a lot of opportunity to be involved. And the reason I want to talk about this with you guys is because you have very, very interesting syndicates. Sinead's combines 2 horses, and Allison, talk a little bit about Arthur's syndicate for a minute, because when Allison first told me about that syndicate, she said, I want to make it so that people who could never own a top horse can afford it.
Well, Arthur I've had since he was 5. We bought him for $15,000. Yes, that's how much that horse cost. And I've made him into something quite more. And probably one of the most prohibitive factors for me in competing him at the highest levels is simply the cost. It is the cost of keeping him going and doing everything. So I knew I needed to syndicate him, but I'd already bought him. If somebody had money to help buy into a syndicate, I'd need them to help me buy a new horse. So Chloe's a bit different. I was able to borrow money to secure the purchase on her, but now I need to syndicate her, traditionally and, pay back that loan. But with Arthur, I just think it's, I don't know how much he'd be worth now, but probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would think. But it just seemed a bit odd and obnoxious to sell shares of him outright. So I talked to Ivano Krant, who's a lawyer that really helps with Event Horse Owners Task Force. I'm like, this is what domestically, it costs more than this, but my budget, I have a lot of skin in the game. My budget for him would be about $40,000, I say, annually. So I'm like, I would like to sell shares of him to just help do that. How do we do that? How can we just allow people to do a tax-deductible donation of $5,000 a share annually? How can we do that? And Yvonne gets on the phone. She's like, I am not letting you give ownership shares of your horse away. I'm like, well, figure out how to do it, because that's what I want to do. And so that we figured out A and B shares. I actually do have a couple A share owners that did want to own an actual 10% interest of him. And what that means, they would have a percentage of the prize money. And if I were to sell that horse, and that is not what's going to happen. The goal of the Arthur Syndicate is to help see that horse through this next Olympic cycle and get to retire him and do all that. The goal of the syndicate would not be for financial gain for the members. So it's really to get a team along with me that wants to be a part of the journey. So with those B shares, and there actually are a couple shares left, if anyone's interested. Last year, Lisa Mason, who is here, she's a woman from Santa Fe. She was just here watching. She fell in love with Arthur. She heard about the Event Horse Owners Task Force meeting, so she went to the meeting, and then she heard about this website, Experience Eventing, so she went to the website, and she's like, I can own a share of Arthur for a $5,000 tax-deductible donation annually. She's like, and I can pay for it on my credit card and get miles. So it's a win-win-win for Lisa, and she has been she's a great new friend of mine. She is a wonderful woman. It's just been really fun to meet new people and have them be just as excited to be a part of that. And she came out, another woman is here in Kentucky, Mary. She's an A-share syndicate. I met her for the first time this week as well, and we all went out. We've seen him, and he's just fun. So those are different ways you can do it. I think what Sinead's done is really interesting to be able to have, being able to step in on a going 4-star horse and be a part of the process of seeing a horse develop. The opportunity was something with Arthur to be able to step in on a guaranteed 4-star sort of horse right now at a very reasonable cost, and it is so helpful to me because it's really just expensive to keep them going. You need the whole team, and it's just good to have your group of people around. It is so much fun to have, and that for me last year too, and everyone's like, why was last year so different? Well, I think through all these years, and he is a challenging horse, it's like, listen, I know my horse. We're not perfect, and I know me and what I'm capable of, and that's what's important, is to believe in you and your horse, and surround yourself with the people that believe in you and your horse and have that support. And that's what I did last year. It was just my family and syndicate owners and good friends that we all were just together, and it just felt like such a wonderful experience to share that with everyone. So it's just so important.
So before we take questions from the audience, if you want to become a syndication member for these girls, Allison's website is AllisonSpringer.com, and you can contact her on there, right?
Really creative, right?
Yeah, it's very unique and different. Sinead's is the same, SineadHalpin.com. Very creative.
I don't know about you, I toiled over the name of what I said.
So you can, if you want to reach out to those girls about any of their syndication stuff, you can contact them. It's a very interesting thing happening in our sport, and I appreciate you guys kind of telling why you made the decisions you did. And now we'll take some questions from any of you out there. If you, yes, yes, personal questions are great. The question was, while you're looking at Q's brother or sister, is there another brother or sister?
A lot of relatives. relatives. There's a lot of relatives. They do have a big breeding operation. You want to come to England?
Maybe that's the question.
Yes, you can come to England. I'll give you the dates. Let's go. This is the fun part about syndications and owning horses, is that it really is a team. Kristen Michalowski is the reason I was able to get on cue and came in right away. And I said, Kristen, this horse, I love her. She's so wonderful. And Kristen was like, okay, are you sure? Yes. and now Kristen owns half of. And now Kristen's involved with Tate and Q, and also has some ownership in a few other syndications, which is really exciting too for all the riders and supporting Team USA. Is that you can own a share of a horse of Allison's, of Boyd's, of mine, and it's just so fun. I mean, because it gets to a point with your horses is that the only person you can really talk to about them that cares is like your mom. Like I call my mom, I'm like, oh my God, it was so great, it's so wonderful. Everybody else gets tired of hearing it, but with the syndicates, like we all get excited. It's really fun. So
Everybody should do it.
You guys have any other questions? Yep.
So syndication is really relatively new. Why is it just coming out now?
God only knows.
It actually isn't. They've been doing it for years and years in the racehorse world, racing, and also with horse show horses. But that sort of goal is different. That goal is to really produce a horse, make money, sell it, make money, or do whatever. And it doesn't. Syndications can have all different sorts of goals. And I think that just in my time, I don't want to date myself too much, but what it costs to purchase different sorts of horses has certainly gone up. I think the cost to, as our sport has really improved and become that much more competitive, like you actually do have to do a dressage test now, and you do have to keep the rails up, and you do, it's becoming, and our sport is just increasing in popularity throughout the world. The whole game has stepped up, which just changes everything. So I think that's why, and really the Event Horse Owners Task Force has been such a great resource for us, and being able, and it's managed by syndicate members of all different sorts of syndicates for other riders, and they've been such a great way to reach out and be a source of information for other potential people, and because they just have a blast. They have a blast. Seeing that group of people, like the Otis Bombardier syndicate at the Olympics, that whole syndicate was out there in London, and they had so much fun. So that's a dream story. They bought that horse the year before the Olympics, and then they went, which is awesome.
Other questions? Oh, are we waving? More questions? No? Okay, well, before we go, I'm just going to... Oh, yeah. Oh.
What's your advice to him?
The question is, this gentleman is doing his first event ever in a couple of weeks. What is your advice to him?
Well, usually to the women I say waterproof mascara, but no, so for you. No, hopefully you won't end up in the water or cry. But no, have fun. Just fall in love with this sport. Just enjoy yourself. I mean, that's when it goes well. I mean, how do you deal with the nerves? I'm so nervous about going to my first show. That's something you put on yourself. Concentrate on having fun and focusing on what you know how to do well. You know how to jump every single fence out there, else you wouldn't be going to do it. So just remember the fun part of it, and that'll keep you coming back time and time again.
And a neck strap.
And a neck strap.
Put a neck strap on.
I'm an avid mane grabber. I'm a big mane grabber. She's a good neck strapper.
Any other? We good?
Okay, well, before we go, I'm just going to ask each of you to tell us maybe a story or something fun that stood out to you in the last 2 or 3 years in eventing, and maybe it was a highlight, a favorite moment, something here at the Kentucky Horse Park while you're over in England, anything that just really, it's pretty broad, but you can say anything you want. Just something about eventing that really a highlight for you in the last couple years.
Oh, it was a good little story. This is a good story. I know. There are so many stories, but we do have to keep it PG and all related too, so you don't get all the inside stories. But I think one thing that was fun about Burley, I mean, that was a huge year last year. I mean, the whole year was great. I mean, it felt great to just believe in my horse and have Kentucky get done, make that trip to England, finish well at Burghley, and then a great thing in the prize giving during Burghley, the ringmaster came up to me and he said, okay, when you're done with this victory gallop, you'll go back out, then you'll come back in, you'll go over there and you'll come back in, and then you'll do the next one. You'll do the next one. I'm like, what are you talking about? And all the European riders turn around and look at me. They're like, are you kidding me? I'm like, why? What's going on? He's like, you're third in the HSBC World Rider Rankings for the end of the year. You're third place. I'm like, do I get anything for that? And all the riders are like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? The European riders fight for that. Like, it is a huge honor. And I literally didn't even know I was anywhere in contention. And also, the other thing that was funny, all week, Ollie Townend, you all know Ollie, he's a cutie patootie. He is a ladies' man, and I'm friends with him, and he's funny, and all week long he was kind of like, winking at me. He's like, hey, partner. I'm like, this is really odd. Is Ollie hitting on me, or what's going on, He's like, hey, partner, and it was funny. We were actually paired in an international pairs competition, and we won that, too, so I kept winning stuff that weekend, which was great, but I was like, I thought you were being creepy. He's like, oh,
I could have gotten Ollie eliminated. That was my story. I could have taken it away. We're in the warm-up. We're in the final show jumping warm-up at Burghley. And, it's a little intense in there. There's a few dollars on the line. And Ollie's scattering around, and the footing was getting really bad, and so they moved the jumps, and one of the jumps, he didn't notice, but they changed the flags so you could jump it the other way. And in warm-up, if you jump a jump backwards, you're eliminated, right? And so I'm like hacking past the fence, and I turn around and I see Ollie just looking at the fence like he's going to jump it backwards. And I couldn't even get it out of my mouth. I was like, don't go. And he comes over the fence, and he's in the air, and I genuinely think he realized when he was in the air, and he's got this horrible thick accent. So, Jesus bloody Christ, I just jumped a jump backwards at Burghley. I'm like, nobody saw it, dude. Nobody saw it.
It was so funny.
I know. I'm like, we didn't turn out mean, but it was like,
I did have a giggle in that one because his horse, Andrew Nicholson, because he's just, got so many. He gave that horse to Ollie to ride, right? So, and that horse is a real strong horse. So most of Ollie's show jump is like going up to the fence and then halting in front of it. Going up to the fence, halting in front of it. Like, not like our traditional, like most people jump, warm up. Sometimes they get a little rub to remind them to be careful. Arthur gets the rubs to remind him to be careful. So I actually do, I don't look, in the warm-up, I don't look like I'm going to jump a clear round at all, and Ollie doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it over a fence. Like, he's stopping and whatever. I'm like, we look like a mess in here.
And he's jumping them backwards.
And backwards, no. That Burghley was a fun time. I really love, the best thing about this sport is the camaraderie and the friendship between riders, between coaches and all that. And so in Europe is a really cool experience for that.
All right, well, we'll let you girls run off. You have plenty to do here today. And thank you guys so much for coming and listening to them talk. And thank you both for taking time out of your day to sit here on the interview lounge. And you can watch this online again later at www.rk3de.org. And we wish you guys the best of luck the rest of the season.